Well, welcome to the Cowboy Money Show. I'm honored to be joined by the Texas royalty and the inventor of the Beef Initiative, Mr. Texas Slim himself.
How do you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How was your drive down from Oklahoma last?
Yeah, I drove into Oklahoma from Texas, the Texas Panhandle yesterday, so I didn't want to have to push all that far today. So kind of divided it up. Oklahoma rained all day, and here we are in Arkansas.
Yeah, just got done raining for a minute here. And before we get into the intros, I was going to ask you, if you had only a pocket knife, would you rather be jumped by a grizzly bear or a mountain lion?
Wow, that's a good question.
I know you've had some time in the Rockies. So.
Yeah, well, in New Mexico, we always had to worry about both of those, you know.
Yeah.
And then, man, I would definitely have to go with mountain lion.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I would have said grizzly bear because cats kind of make me nervous,
But yeah, well, the thing about a grizzly bear is if they can do a little damage on you, then you can kind of play dead because they're going to come back later.
I got you.
And that's an art form that you have to do on the spot.
Well,
But a mountain lion's going to get you, and it's gonna get you till it gets you.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think that a mountain lion kind of have a little strategy there.
Well, I'm glad I asked you that, so now I'll have a strategy. When
I've seen both, but I haven't ever had to worry about them.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna just let you do a short kind of bio on yourself and where you came from. And
Sure. Well, you and I kind of met. I don't even know how long ago was it.
I believe that was late last winter.
Yeah. It was like
been
November.
5 or 6 months ago.
It was pretty early on after I wrote that article about the harvest of deception.
Yes.
And then what had happened before that, I wasn't planning on doing the Beef Initiative or anything like that. I was actually, when COVID hit, I was going to go do, I was going to ride a motorcycle across Thailand. And so I wasn't planning on being this guy that drives around the country now, you know, trying to save the American rancher, basically. And so I fell into part of research and analysis that I came from, and I started putting it towards food intelligence. And then I started writing about it. And then once I started writing about it, I could tell there was a lot of audience out there that wanted to know more. They were kind of frustrated. It was during COVID. I think people have more time, and so they were able to concentrate a little bit more. And they really took a step back and started looking at food. And then once we really kind of uncovered kind of the industrial food complex, we can kind of see how it's captured in a lot of ways. The ranchers are captured, a lot of farmers are captured. And so ever since then, we've just been, you know, moving forward. And, you know, anytime that we identify problems in life, we have to provide a solution, because that's how we should move forward.
Yeah.
And then here we are with the Beef Initiative. And it's many things right now. You know, I'm producing something that's a message, it's awareness. It has a lot of food intelligence involved with it, but it has to do with making relationships with the people that actually do feed us. Giving the American rancher and the producer a name again and a voice that they can be heard.
Yeah.
And so we have a platform, it's thebeefinitiative.com. You know, we have producers across the nation that can come in and they can put their you know, establishment, their ranch, whatever they're doing as far as regenerative farming and ranching, they can put it into our platform, and people are starting to find them. And it's happening holistically.
Yeah.
And so it's not a marketing campaign.
Yeah.
It's not an advertisement on CNBC.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that. It's basically getting back to our heritage and legacy as a nation.
Yes, and so many people realize the need to find a source for good, clean food over the last couple of years with some of the plant shutdowns and.
Well, yeah.
And now we got supply chain issues and baby formula shortages.
Well, you know, and it's fascinating because it's all happening, and I started writing about this last year.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, this is going to happen. And like I said, where I come from, I have the ability to get access to some global and macro movements of the global food industrial complex. Yeah. So you can project out, because we have subsidies, we have commodities, we have all kinds of things in agriculture, especially in the United States of America, that people just truly do not understand anymore.
Well, that was the thing that excited me when I first heard about what you were doing through Adam Curry on the No Agenda show. But he mentioned you, and then he did a podcast with you, and you were talking about, I think it's Earl Butts, the Secretary of...
Yes, Earl Butts. He was, agricultural commissioner, secretary, whatever thing.
50s and I'd read about him when I was in high school. So like I was like, oh man, bells went off, and I'd kind of thought about the food system and the top-down way that it's been developed.
Sure.
Which is kind of getting a little bit frayed at the edges.
Oh, extremely.
And
It's very volatile. It's very fragile right now, and there's a reason that it's been like that, or it's kind of led us to where we are now. When we talk about Butts, he was a Nixon administration. He went out and basically said to the farmer, American farmer, you better go big or you're going to go home. Let's go fence to fence.
Yeah.
Screw your multi-crop, section here. You're going to have to, it's all going to be this commodity that we're going to create. And if you look at what they started doing, and especially in the 70s, it was moving in that way. But this was the catalyst for change, because what we did is once we went off the gold standard under the Nixon administration, once you debase a currency, everything that touches that needs to have false value attached to it.
Yeah.
And so what we did within our agricultural world in the United States is we took all of this and we said, let's turn it into the control and the apparatus of a chemical company. Because we need to develop all these pesticides, chemicals, herbicides, everything that we can use in this new form of agriculture.
And people don't realize that's all licensed.
Yes,
so,
100%.
So the farmer is kind of it doesn't matter if you're even
he has no permission basically unless he follows the law of the technology use agreement.
Yeah.
And that was Monsanto, of course, that did that. We're not going to talk about all the big chemical name companies and all that because we get in trouble. But there's an apparatus there that basically takes a lot of the sovereign control away from the producer in the United States of America.
Yeah.
And they use a lot of tactics back then. It's like, hey, we're going to feed the world.
Yeah.
We got to do this. We're America, and we're going to feed the world. Well, I say bullshit anymore to that, because we're not feeding the world. We're basically making a ton of money off the consumption model that they've created off of fake commodities.
And like you pointed out, that's tied back into the pharmaceuticals, because people have gotten a lot fatter and sicker since then.
Yeah, I mean, 78% of our country right now is either obese or overweight. 1 out of 2 of us is diabetic. Children in the ages of 5 to 11, 46% of them are now obese and overweight and headed towards diabetes.
That's wild.
We're going through a metabolic failure and bankruptcy in this country, and a lot of people don't want to admit it, and they don't understand why it's happening, but it's because of the fake commodity food system that we've created the last 50 years. Everything you see in the space of time of humanity has only happened the last 50 years. We're in different territory.
Yeah.
And it's a hard subject to talk about, because we have to talk about ourselves.
Yeah.
What are we consuming? Why do we desire what we desire to eat? And we have to look and break that down. Well, it's because you're consuming chemicals, or it's chemical and it's highly processed that basically has no nutritional value like our grandparents did.
Yeah, and so many of the bad fats and stuff that jack up your
basic. Yeah, well, basically, what it does, like you're talking about the different types of vegetable, the fats that come through, processed, like canola oil, soybean oil, all these seed oils, basically. It has a neurological effect.
Yeah,
on
I was thinking
hormones.
About your hypothalamus,
Yeah,
or whatever the
exactly.
stuff that creates your hormones and all your cells, basically the cellular level.
It goes down to the microbes,
Yeah.
and a lot of people kind of don't even understand, how the brain works anymore. We've been, the marketing plan that they've done the last 50 years is so confusing if you try to break down what true nutrition is. And so within the Beef Initiative, we've been bringing in people in the medical community that have kind of stepped away from the way of doing medicine. Get away from the pharmaceuticals. Let's get back to functional medicine.
Yeah.
Let's get back to how our grandparents used to do it. And let's get back to where before we were like sick.
Yeah.
And once you do that and you can kind of step back and look at your consumption model, here you are. I mean, you can get some clarity and you kind of say, whoa, okay, now I see it.
Yeah, it's wild. Even just to look at photographs of a crowd of people in 1971 compared to today, it's sad, really. I mean, it truly is sad.
And that's the touchy subject about food intelligence. I always have to tell people, this is not a judgment on anybody.
Yeah.
We didn't choose this.
Yeah.
A lot of times it happens because we're very intentional, and we really do try to make a lot of strides to maybe lose weight, or not eat so many sugars, and everything that we do in the society. And what they've done is they developed these dietitians and these nutrition programs that go on a 12-month cycle.
Yeah.
And everybody's never having any luck with it, and it just continues. And they play on that because the person is trusting, very intentional, but they're not having any luck.
And they put their trust in the wrong cathedral, basically. And like, I've been following Dr. Sean Baker for a few years, and he's strict carnivore, and which I'm not, but I've been close to it for a while at times, and it's really awesome to see all the healing that goes on that he's He's got thousands and thousands of testimonials now of people. That's where it comes back to me. I'm a fan of beef, and so this is the beef initiative, and that's why.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's what I came up with that phrase. You know, we got to get to the source of the seed. And what that means, especially with beef and pure animal protein, that is the source of the seed of your nutrition that you need to be strong and powerful with mind, body, and spirit. That's how we got here. Thousands and thousands of years it got us here. You can't deny it. And so you look at that, you can make it very simple. So if you know that and you believe that, you know, close to carnivore or a high diet that basically starts with a damn steak, you know, your life is going to change. It's not about being, hey, I'm going to a steakhouse. It's actually being very intentional. How you source your beef and how you design that consumption model based around that beef.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned some of the doctors you have involved in the beef initiative, and I was fortunate enough to go to the first beef initiative conference in Kerrville, Texas.
Right.
And there was a great presentation by, I believe it was Dr. Mary Kerr.
Dr. Mary Kerr, MD, yes. And she was fascinating. She did a great job, didn't she?
Yeah, and that video, I believe, is on YouTube.
It is. It's under the Beef Initiative YouTube channel.
Some pretty good information on the health side of it. But,
yeah.
So I was going to ask real quick, what's the Texas to Tennessee tour that you're on right now while you're in Arkansas at the moment?
Right. Well, in Texas, you knew at the Kerrville conference, you know, that was kind of the introduction to, you know, the Beef Initiative. And we brought in a lot of people. I think we had 14 states. People came in. We had over 100 tickets sold. It was fascinating. And what we want to do is we've developed a system, even, you know, as close as since like November, to where we're decentralizing a vertical integration back into our food supply. And here in Texas, or back there in Texas, we've done that. I mean, you can come to the Beef Initiative, right? And you know that rancher is going to be there in the Beef Initiative. And we have the basically the vertical integration of that food supply, which is beef at this time. So we take it from the soil to the grass to the cow, the producer, the processor, to the supplier, to the market access that we just created. We have control of that whole vertical integration. We don't have to answer to anybody. And we're following all the rules and the laws and everything. And in the state of Texas, we are having massive success with that. And I know there's a nation right now that are trying to do the same thing as the vertical integration into food. I say it's the vertical integration back into human health. And so by saying that, and I wanted to make sure that we were in the position, we're big in, you know, Bitcoin company. We are a Bitcoin company. You know, it's not that we are only a Bitcoin company, but we're introducing that model and that education to the rancher as well. Because it's basically a store of value that if they understand the education behind it and how to store it, and they can obtain it, they can basically use it to, you know, as a store of value for their cow, for their land, or whatever they need to. So we're providing that education. Yeah,
that's one of the cool aspects of the Beef Initiative, and what Slim's doing is the education around sound money, which that could be a whole another video.
It is. And you know, what is sound money right now? Well, what now is the education into money. If you look at Bitcoin, you're going to look at the fiat dollar and how it's been manipulated throughout our lives.
And to make the connection too, that the degradation of the food system really has gone hand in hand with the ruining of the
if you look at charts, separate charts, you can see that one's going up and one's going down. But so if you flip it, it means the same thing then, because, you know, our health as a nation way up here, and now it's down here. Okay, well then if you look at the US dollars, its purchasing power throughout the same time from 1971 is right here, and then it was right here. And it's amazing to look at and to really look at the years, you know, what happened in history, what happened in global corporations, you know, the evolution up into that. So once you've looked into money, once you've looked into food, it is a correlation. Well, let's look at sound money and sound food. And that's what we're doing, is like, hey people, let's just get some food intelligence here. And so it's kind of daunting, you know, to dive into it. But it's my job now, because people are paying attention. Well, let's get Texas Slim on the damn road.
And so you're on a road trip to visit a bunch of different.
It's the way to do this. You know, I've been around the country many times. Been around the world a couple of times. I love to travel. I love to see this part of America, and, you know, meet people like you and your family. And what people need to understand right now, we have a quiet desperation going on in our economy, in our family life, in our jobs. I mean, medical, people need to see America again. And
Yeah.
so if I can correlate a road trip and call it the Texas to Tennessee tour, barn raising tour at that, I'm going to do a lot of education. I'm going to come out and meet people. I'm going to shake their hand, and we're going to talk about food intelligence, and we're going to talk about daily life.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that starting from here in Arkansas, then I'll go to Missouri on the 4th, and then I head from Missouri to Nashville. And I'll be in Nashville for about 4 or 5 days.
Okay.
In those 4 or 5 days I'm in Nashville, I'm going to do a lot of networking in Nashville, going to create some nodes of decentralized food supply and decentralized money supply.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do some education. There's going to be a meetup, a Bitcoin meetup in Nashville.
And what's the date on that?
That is June 8th.
June 8th. So
June 8th.
Today's June 1st that we're recording this, and it might be a day or so before
Yeah.
it hits. So
Yes, and it's nashbitcoiners.com.
okay.
Nashbitcoiners.com, and you can look that up if you're close to Nashville or
Yeah.
Tennessee.
If you want to learn about Bitcoin or
It's
steaks or meat,
education,
Texas
yeah.
Slim,
I mean, we're proof of work. You know, Cole and K&C Cattle, you know, we're partnered up, and it's his beef that we're selling through the Beef Initiative.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, he's been accepting Bitcoin now this whole year.
Yeah.
Okay, you think about that, and he's gone up and it's gone down, up and down. You know what? He's got a new store of value.
Yeah.
And what he's going to do as a rancher, he's going to sell maybe 90% of it will go into fiat,
Yeah.
10% will go into Bitcoin. And he's doing self-custody. Nobody can take it away from him.
Yeah.
And guess what? He's going to sell enough beef where he gets 1 full Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't know anything about Bitcoin, there's only going to be 21 million of them.
Yeah.
So you look at a rancher doing that, as the US dollar goes down, Bitcoin will go up. It's gone up over 200% every year that it's been in production, basically, as far as the protocol being released onto the world.
Uh-huh.
And so if you look at a rancher that's doing that now, and he can get ahead of the curve,
Yeah.
of the hyperinflation, of all the commodity market manipulation, everything that a rancher has to go through, he can sleep better at night,
Yeah.
and he is sleeping better. So we want to tell the nation, we want to tell all of the ranchers, the producers, animal producers across this nation, come to the Beef Initiative, sign up for our education. We're not selling anything. I've been on the road for 2 years doing this. We're not making money off of this yet. And it's all my dime. I don't have any investors, and I have a partner, a silent partner. Beyond that, this has just been grit and hard work and a community-based approach of this is how we should start living again. It's a new international lifestyle that we're doing right now.
Heck yeah.
And people are yearning to come here.
Yeah.
They are learning. Look where we're standing at, Chris. I mean, come on.
This is my roping arena. It's a little shaggy on some
You
of
know
the
how many
weeds growing
people
up.
would die to have what you have right now?
Well, it's pretty awesome.
It is. It's amazing. And as far as this Texas to Tennessee tour, you know, I don't know where it's going to end. I'm talking to people in Australia. I'm talking to people in Europe. I'm talking to people in Asia. This is a global thing that we need to be very aware of. We need to get back to the source of our food intelligence, the source of the seed of who we are.
Yeah.
And there's a good opportunity right now for people to change this consumption model.
Yeah. Man, another thing I was wanting to mention was the processing end of it. You all have kind of a blueprint now for some different processing ways to build some competition into the.
Well, and that's what the big bottleneck and basically the lack of true market access to our food supply is because it's the big 4 processors. They're 85% of all meat and animal protein in the United States of America gets processed by 4 global companies. 3 of those companies are based out of Brazil. They're not even based in the United States. And they've been able to manipulate the market so much throughout the years that they're actually stealing all of our beef in the United States. They're stealing all the profits from the producers, and all of that money is going back into Brazil and other places.
Yeah, back when box beef hit $1,000 or something during the pandemic early on, and all the ranches were losing money still.
They lost money. The rancher and producer made 0 money during COVID. Yeah. A little bit if there was somebody like Cole and Jason Rick Ranches, and
they were selling direct.
Yeah, because they're selling direct. But if you're going through that market access system, you're screwed. So saying that, we're opening up. We've got 4 or 5 processing centers that we're going to have access with the Beef Initiative. Justin Trammell's one in the Texas Panhandle. We're going to have Cole Bolton down in Central Texas. He's going to be opening up his processing center in June and July. Awesome. So we're developing these nodes where we have market access to processing centers. We don't have to worry about that manipulation, that global manipulation that the American ranchers having a problem with.
And and the American rancher and any beef in general has a bullseye on its back now.
100%.
It's called a climate hazard, and they're trying to
Yeah.
make it like the next caviar, and it's not.
Well, and they're going to have success. What people do truly, and it's hard for people to really understand, we're going through a food industry shift, an industrial food industry shift. Whenever that happens, that you're talking trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money that's been invested to do exactly what they're doing with the marketing campaigns, with the fake meat, climate, everything, climate change. You're a bad citizen, and they're going to do this. So if you're eating beef, they're going to know that you're eating beef, and they're going to declare you're going to get some social credit scores against you. And they will do it in ways, it won't be social credit scores, but it'll be less buying power.
Yeah.
It's like the credit system that you have now. And they're going to have success in it because all the contracts are signed. This is moving forward.
Yeah.
Unless you're a rancher, and if you're a rancher and there's so much that they get lied to about, what you need to really do is look into regenerative farming and ranching and understanding what sound food, sound soil is, and sound money, and sound health. You can put them all together, and it's exactly like our grandfathers and great grandfathers did.
And going on back, as far as, well, before I get your plugs,
Sure.
Could you tell, can I have a call to action as far as anyone watching this that
Sure.
that can't come to the Bitcoin meetup in Nashville? Or
Well, what I do is definitely go to thebeefinitiative.com.
Okay.
There's a newsletter in there. You can buy beef in there. Everything that you need to do to launch off to find more about me and everything is in the Beef Initiative.
Okay.
It's a platform. It's a multi-use platform that if for somebody that's out there and you're already buying beef, or if you're a rancher that wants to come into the Beef Initiative, add your producer sections in there. Add your producer into the Beef Initiative platform.
Yeah.
And every producer that has come through the Beef Initiative that I've talked to, especially up to now, every one of them is increasing their sales.
Heck yeah.
And they're finding me kind of like how you found me.
Yeah.
And it's all kind of a funnel into basically, this is that international, this is how we live. This is a behavioral shift.
Yeah.
And we don't have to worry about all that stress.
Yeah.
And so the Beef Initiative platform is a dang good one.
That's the way to go. And then anything else to plug, like the Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter right
podcast?
now. Just on Twitter, it's at Modern Tea Man. And then we also have at Beef Initiative.
Okay.
I have
And
two
you got
channels on Twitter.
podcast on
Texas Slim's Vision. You just do a search and do a Texas Slim's Vision,
Okay.
and you'll find a channel. It's multi-platforms.
a lot of cool interviews on that.
Yeah, there's
on
some
the channel.
good education in there. There's some really based people in there. There's a movement going on, and with this tour, like I say, if it's 2 weeks, it's 2 years. I'm not going home until we've spread this word in this way.
Yeah, it is getting out. I met a lady at the chuck wagon races last week that had heard of it.
Really?
Just
She
lady
had.
in the wild. It was pretty cool.
Well, that's what we're trying to do here. Like I said, we're not doing marketing plans. We're not doing mainstream centralized advertising and market. This is about people talking to each other and having a good time and building these relationships.
Well, man, I'm proud to have met you and
Yes.
see how far this all goes.
Well, Chris,
Thanks.
we've been talking for a while,
Yep.
and it's great that this is full circle. You came to Texas, I'm in Arkansas.
yeah.
Where do we go next, right?
Well, thanks for the
Thanks, brother.
conversation.
Appreciate you. You too.